Good morning, everybody. Crypto Algo Cowboy here. Crypto Cowboy, I haven't used that in years now. I flipped over to Algo when I started focusing on the algos, and I definitely trade a fair amount of crypto still. However, I probably trade more Forex than crypto when it comes to trading. Now, when it comes to like holdings and long-term type stuff, I do focus a little more on crypto, precious metals, real estate. I kind of am diversified, if you will, and I do think diversification is a strong thing to do. However, I'm all about the algos. Algos are great. We teach people how to trade, all that stuff. And in the spirit of that, let's talk about what we see on the chart. We've got Bitcoin acting very interestingly right now. Okay, so the algos are, I would not call them bearish at this point, even on the short term. Bitcoin is behaving like it wants to break out, and it's at a very key moment. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening in the charts. You're looking at a daily chart of Bitcoin right now. And by the way, if you want to see a chart, just ask for it in the YouTube comments. If you want to see a chart, even if it's like stocks or, precious metals, oil, you name it, I will chart it. In the meantime, what we're looking at is this whole year right now. This is 2024 on a page, and each one of these candles is about a day's worth of price action, right? Each one of these individual Japanese candles you see on the screen is 1 day's worth of price moving up and moving down over time. Now, what we're going to look at here is we're going to go back to this higher time frame look, and I'm going to go to a weekly chart where each one of these candles represents a week's worth of price action. And that's going to allow us to have a look at what price has done ever since the halving. So the halving was in April, okay? And it was right here towards the end of April. In fact, I can add on here a pretty cool automatic indicator here. You can see it adds the halving right there. And this is the fourth halving ever. So looking back at prior halvings is a healthy thing to do. It's not a very strong data point, but it's at least going to give us an idea of what can happen. And typically after the rewards have been cut in half, Bitcoin will go sideways for a while and eventually pop up. What was unique about this halving event as compared to the prior three is that Bitcoin made an all-time high prior to that. And many people, smart people think that has to do with the ETFs in the US and other countries buying Bitcoin up and reducing the supply. However, what a lot of people may not understand is that these ETFs have the capability to increase that supply, and they can do it legally, or at least not illegally, and they can do it in a way that really is fake. Yeah, they can say that they're borrowing a certain amount of Bitcoin. They can even back it up because they'll have a promise to pay should they need to come up with said Bitcoin, but they may not be actually borrowing it. It's just more of a promise to pay. This is the word I got. I'm not saying they're doing this. I'm saying I've heard on some pretty good authority that this is what's going on. So the supply of Bitcoin is being artificially inflated. Bitcoin is supposed to be deflationary. So this could put a dampener on price, at least in the near term. If the rest of the world catches up and wants to start using Bitcoin, of course, that can change. If the rest of the world really, really digs in and buys Bitcoin and wants to use Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is somehow chosen as the king or the whatever, then, you could use the term world reserve. I don't think that's going to happen as much as I'd like it to happen. Then of course that could outstrip the demand in the US, especially as the US economy changes over time and we over here start to lose our prominence in the finance industry, which has been slowly happening for 20 to 30 years. And this kind of goes into theory. So for now, let's stick to the charts. We're looking at what looks like a giant bull flag here. Okay, so I'm not really big on bull flags of Bitcoin. They can be kind of faked and used to confuse traders, but on a higher time frame, that's not that easy to fake. It's very, very expensive to do so. And so price has been heading up for some time. One could look at this bull flag in two different ways. On a much higher time frame, I'd say it looks like this. If you look at it on the weekly, though, you could also look at it like this. Either way, depending on how you do things, this could be looking pretty legitimate. So we're going to take the case that the flagpole is going back to September 23, because that's really when it started to take off. If I really wanted to be strict about it, I would say right about here in October. Now, using some metrics, we can have an idea of where the all-time high might happen here based on that. And this is something that also could be stymied, right? So we have, and that's a long story, it has to do with all that conversation we started with, but you got it right here at about 100,000, right? That's according to this. Now, this doesn't mean it's not going to go higher. I've had a lot of very smart people showing extremely convincing arguments mathematically that Bitcoin could head up towards 200,000. I'm not saying that it's going to stop at 100, but right now that's an important mark right there for a pretty high time frame look. And as a matter of fact, if I were to use a Fibonacci tool, then we could see some pretty obvious marks here. We got about 88,000, and then we've got about 105,000. And again, with 100,000 being a psychological spot, it might be pretty difficult for price to break above that, like a big resistance holding the cork underwater. But if it were to break above 100,000, then the sky's the limit. So let's go ahead and take a look at a more sober look on the price using this kind of more strict impulse up, right? This prior impulse that we just used in this example looks good on a high time frame, but on the weekly, which is still very high, you have this pullback right here. And so that kind of interrupts the impulse that makes up that flag for us. So in this case, we're going to jump back a little bit, use this impulse up, and again, take a more sober look at things. And that would put the all-time high. You would have a target at about 84,000 and another target at about 95, 96,000. And 96,000, that region looks pretty realistic to me. Again, 100,000 is going to be a tough nut to crack. However, if the demand is truly there and can outstrip the supply, whether that supply be artificial or not, that will maybe rocket past 100,000. Like it would break 100,000, and all of the bears selling would get exhausted trying to keep it below 100,000. Not to say that they're consciously doing it; it's just the way things work. And price might rocket up towards that 200,000 mark. We really don't know what's going to happen. Of course, this is all just speculation. On a lower time frame, we can also take a look at things. And I can tell you that algorithmically, look at all that stuff on the screen, all the crazy lines and this, don't let this intimidate you. But what I'm seeing is that price may be ready to go ahead and break out of this pattern, whether it goes to 80,000, whether it goes to 88, 95, whatever it might be. SG, thanks for popping on. Good to see you. Booyah! All right, so we've got this, we've got some indication the price might be ready to head up. And let's just map it out. You have this bull flag where you have these lower lows, lower highs, very typical of one of these, right? And it's in a pretty organized fashion. This low right here had to do with traditional finance, aka TradFi, when the Japanese yen kind of wreaked havoc on the markets because they said they were going to leave, exit the carry trade. But again, that's just a big wick down. We'll put it down there. Price did go there. But in the end, you have one more lower high, and then you have price making a higher low after this pretty low move. Even if there wasn't the Japanese yen thing, price might have gone down a little more orderly to this, say 52,000 or maybe a little bit lower. Either way, we're looking at a higher low at this time. Price stopped going down right at about 52,000 when it had gone down prior to about 49,000. So this higher low is an indication that the move down might be done. We don't know that to be the case yet. This is just kind of a rotation in the right direction. We need this area right here, this prior high at about 65,400. We need that to be violated. We need price to go above that. And for my liking, we need it to stay above for at least 2 or 3 weeks. If price can break above 65,000 and stay there for 2 to 3 weeks, even a week, but I like 2 or 3 for more solidity there, then I think we might be in the territory where Bitcoin is done pulling back after the halving, and we might see it make its way up to whatever its all-time high is. And I'm not truly bullish until price breaks 70,600. If price can go above that and stay above that for a week or two, I'm going to start to get pretty bullish. As of now, though, I don't think it's a terrible bet, if you will, to say that the move down might be done, right? Might be done. What we're seeing here is price consolidating below a resistance. And that's key. So I'm going to do some tighter measurements here in our private live lab. I'm going to jump over to that private live lab right now. So go ahead and zap the QR code on the top right-hand corner of the screen. When you do, that's going to take you to our website, or you can just go to algofactory.tech. And again, we teach people how to trade. We work with beginners. We work with people of all levels of expertise. I work with traders who have been trading for years and years and years, and we help people build trading methods. An algorithm is merely just a trading method. Doesn't mean you have to have it coded. You can trade it manually. We do have people coding, though, who are coding their method and letting it trade for them while they're not even at the computer, and we can certainly put you on the path to that. So algofactory.tech. Trade your job, upgrade your life. Do not forget,
join us or die.